I'm 85 years of age, and my life in the Legion has brought me from Our Lady to Jesus.
Maria, gratia plena, Ave, Ave Dominus, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus.
My name is Michael Fitzpatrick. I'm from Ireland. My first association with Our Lady was at home with my parents, in my own home, with my mother saying the Rosary. In secondary school, I was attracted to the Legion of Mary. That was 60 years ago. And in the Legion, as you know, the first prayer said at the meeting is the Rosary. And the Rosary was Our Lady's prayer. I moved on then to work for the Legion, various works, doing house-to-house visitation, asking the people to say the Rosary, including with the Rosary, the Miraculous Medal. And I found it very rewarding because, again, as we mentioned, the Rosary was leading us to Our Lady, and Our Lady led us to Jesus. That was our contact to get to Jesus, Mary. When Mary appeared to the 3 kids in Fatima, she taught them the Rosary, and she appeared 9 times to teach the Rosary to them. And at one time when she appeared, they were playing, and she reprimanded them for not saying the Rosary. She did say that the world would be saved if the Rosary was said by people, by families. She also mentioned family prayer. It seems that family prayer moved out of the family. People forgot about it, but Our Lady promised that family prayer and the Rosary would save the world, and we'd have a much better world. In the Legion, I was asked to organize a trip to Lourdes. Over 23 years, 2,500 people traveled to Lourdes with me. We emphasized in all those trips the Rosary and prayer and family prayer. So we felt that we were getting through to people, particularly on those trips. People were taking them serious. I was a week back from Lourdes when I was asked to go to Fatima by a priest. I agreed to travel to Fatima, even though I was hesitant at the start, but I traveled. And during my trip to Fatima, the priest who was with me, he got a privilege, if you like, in Fatima of saying the Mass at Our Lady's statue. And he asked me to serve the Mass, which I was delighted and I agreed. He then said to me, "Michael, you're not finished then." And I said to him, "Why? I'm free all day." "Oh yes," he says, "I want you today, Michael. After Mass, we're taking a taxi. We have a half-hour audience with Sister Lucia." So that was the highlight of my trip to Fatima. Sister Lucia spoke about the trouble in the world but she emphasized abortion, countries practicing abortion or promoting abortion. She felt that they would suffer severely. That was another highlight in my life because it brought me again to Our Lady of Fatima. So all my life, I was attracted to Our Lady. No matter what problems I had in life, and I had some, all I had to do was ask Our Lady to help me to solve them or pray the rosary. And I felt she brought me through everything. I joined the Legion 60 years ago, and the Legion helped me in my spirituality. The Legion is possibly one of the great organizations in the world. As I would like to say to you, it was founded in Ireland in 1921 by an Irishman, Frank Duff. It helped me all through my life in spirituality and in promoting the Rosary. The marvelous work I feel now in the Legion of Mary is house-to-house visitation. We come in contact with a big number of people, and in our visitation we promote the Rosary and the Miraculous Medal. We get some terrific receptions. We get not abuse, but disappointments. But there's one thing I asked the Legion, where I'm in Portlaoise, the branch I'm in, I asked them to pray for the people whom I visit, pray for the people who accepted what we introduced, and pray for those who turn me down. That is my thanks to Our Lady for bringing me into the Legion. But the Legion has been my life. I have spent, you could say, all my life as a member of the Legion of Mary. I spent 22 years running a juniors and intermediate branch in the Legion. As you know, juniors is 10 to 15, intermediates 15 to 17. The very first prayer they learn in the Legion is the Rosary. So they have contact straight away with Our Lady. And as I have said, Our Lady leads them to Jesus.
Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Jesus. Ave Maria.
I happened to visit a church, a small church in Paris, my first time in it. I wasn't aware of the church I went into, but when I went in, I was on my own in the church, and I knelt down to say a prayer. And a nun came down the aisle, and she stood in front of me, and she said to me, "You're English?" I said, "No, sister, I'm Irish." "Oh," she said, "what made you come in here?" And I said, you could call it curiosity, if you like. I said, "I noticed a cross on top of a building, and I went back to investigate, and I found I was walking into a church, beautiful church, and I knelt down to say a prayer." But she said, "No," she said, "you were brought in here." And I said, "What do you mean?" "Oh," she said, "Do you know the church you're in?" I said, "I don't know." "This is the church where Our Lady appeared to Catherine Labore." And she gave Catherine a description of a medal she wanted struck. And she told Catherine to go to her superiors. Catherine was a nun, and a novice nun. And when she went to her superiors, they did not believe her. But Our Lady appeared the following night again to her, and she told her to go back. She needed a medal. The following night, she brought her spiritual director with her, and they believed her then, and the medal came about. But Our Lady never called the medal miraculous. It got the name miraculous from the people who were wearing it and were ill, and some of them were cured as a result. But Our Lady promised whoever would take the medal and wear it and say the prayer on the leaflet, she would give them great grace. In other words, she would give them great luck and possibly cure some of them. That was a great experience I had of the miraculous medal. I came from a family of 9, and all of them were married, and I ended up with my mother at home. And my mother got a stroke, a slight stroke, and she lived after getting it for a year and 9 months. And all that time, I used to sleep in the room beside her on a mattress, looking after her. But one particular night in May, or morning in May, she called me. She religiously called me at 2, 4, and 6. But one morning she called me at 4, and I got back to bed and fell asleep. I heard her calling me again, and I looked at the watch. It was 5 o'clock. And I said, "Oh, there's something wrong." I was up at 4. So she asked me to lift her up in the bed and lift her back to the back of the bed. And she said, "We'll talk. It's very warm." Actually, it was cold outside. So I agreed with her that it was warm. But then she said to me to leave her down and to get into bed again before I went to work. I said, "No, I'll make a cup of tea." "No," she said, "get into bed." So when I left her down, she just drew her breath and died. So I had a blessed candle in the house, and I lit it, knelt down and said a prayer, and I went up the road and called my brother, who was living not too far, and he came down, and at that stage, my mother was dead. I feel myself that Our Lady gave me the strength, number one, to look after her, gave me the strength to do what I did, to kneel down and say a prayer and light a blessed candle. Our Lady has given me marvelous strength. I am appealing to people again to pray to Our Lady, and the greatest prayer you can say to her is the Rosary.
Some people have done research on the number of Marian apparitions throughout the years. There have been claims that there have been 2,500 such claims being made around the world of the Virgin Mary appearing in our midst. But when people talk about the famous examples of the Virgin Mary appearing, they cannot help but not leave out Our Lady of Lourdes. Our Lady of Lourdes is the most famous, or one of the most famous, apparitions ever to have occurred in the history of the world. When we look at Lourdes, we look at what happened there. We have Our Lady appearing to Bernadette Subaru, a 14-year-old girl who was gathering firewood. And she happened to see this woman there on the first day, which was February 11th, 1858, and for 5 months following that. She identified the Virgin Mary as that one, and Mary spoke to her in the dialect of the French people there, patois, which is the commoner's dialect. It wasn't the high level of French. And when she spoke to Bernadette, she gave her encouragement and showed her love. And on an occasion, right the second to last apparition, Mary, in fact, told Bernadette to get down on her knees and to dig a hole in the ground there. And the crowds who saw her thought that she was insane, that she had lost her mind. Why was she digging into this mud? Well, sure enough, a spring showed itself and water started gushing forth. And this became the very famous font or bath of Lourdes. Many millions of people have come and washed in that font over the years. And there have been cures that have been claimed. Now, only 69 cures have been approved by the commission known as CMIL at Lourdes, France. But something like 7,000 or 8,000 cures are still awaiting validation. Now, Bernadette retired to a quiet life in a convent, but the legend of Lourdes continued on far beyond that. People have come to Lourdes in the millions over the years to learn the story of the simple, humble girl who first saw Our Lady, and it wasn't until that she reported her as saying, "I am the Immaculate Conception," that it was given any approval by the church. Bernadette's visions were looked on with skepticism by both the local authorities who were trying to control the crowds that showed up in the thousands, and the Catholic Church there who was trying to figure out what was going on, if these were indeed authentic visions. The local church there did not think these were authentic visions at the beginning. It wasn't until Bernadette said that Our Lady called herself the Immaculate Conception. And that's a fairly recent theological term to the people there. And for Bernadette, a 14-year-old simple girl, to know that term, it was absolutely impossible. So they knew that it had to be the Mother of God standing there in their midst. Lourdes became a great place of pilgrimage. They built a basilica there, and millions of people have gone there seeking cures. One of the fascinating phenomena at Lourdes was that they wanted to check to see if Bernadette was indeed telling the truth. So they did this candle test. They lit a candle and they put it under her hands as she was praying. Bernadette did not flinch. She did not stop speaking to the Virgin Mary. She did not take her gaze off the Virgin Mary. It was that scientist who did that test. He converted to Catholicism, and many others knew that Bernadette was telling the truth at that time. Our Lady of Lourdes is considered one of the most famous apparitions in the history of the world.
Who is this one clothed with the sun? Who is this one with the moon under her feet? She's the mother of all. She is the mother of all.